We've made it into 2023, and with inflation, supply chain issues, even the housing market changing the way it has, it's time to update you on the cost of living in Fort Collins, Colorado.
All right, let's go.
If this is your first time watching, Pete and Chelsea Sweeney, and we are your Colorado real estate family. Now, I know the channel says living in Denver, right? Our team does also cover Northern Colorado, which is Fort Collins and all of its surrounding cities as well, too. We like to be your boots on the ground experts, guys, giving you all the information you need to know if you are planning on relocating into this beautiful state. If you could do us a favor, if you think this video provides value, it'll provide value to others if you hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, little notification bell. That way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video.
Yes, and as much as we love making the videos for you, we love helping even more so with your real estate needs. So whether you're buying or selling and you're looking for that licensed real estate agent here in the state of Colorado, we're going to put our phone number down below right here. You can call or text us anytime.
Although these cost of living videos can seem a little redundant because it's constantly going over the numbers, kind of saying the same thing, all right, yeah, the number shifted this way, it shifted that way. They're also super important. That way you do know what you're going to be paying when moving into these cities. And I'm going to add a bit of a bonus as well too. So we're going to break into the housing market because the housing market has changed so dramatically from 2022 into 2023. Later on in this video, I'm going to break that down a little bit and kind of discuss what we're seeing on our end in regards to the numbers in the housing market in Fort Collins, Colorado. How we like to do these cost of living videos is 100 is your national average. So here's your baseline right here. Obviously, if it's more expensive, then it's more expensive than your national average. If it's below, then it's cheaper than your national average. And Fort Collins as a whole is a 116.7, which actually isn't that bad compared to Colorado because Colorado as a whole is a 120.5. So crazy to think that Fort Collins is actually cheaper than your Colorado national average, given the fact that it's become such a popular city to move to in these last few years.
If we start to break into the groceries and things like that, Colorado as a whole, we don't see a lot of variation and change here.
Yeah.
We'll usually see kind of different cities be around 99 and then go as high as about 102. And so we don't see a big fluctuation, but if you're looking at Fort Collins, it's going to be a 101.1, and then in comparison to Colorado being 100.7, so kind of right a little above that national average.
Yep.
I really do just believe because it's still, Fort Collins is still kind of its own space, and I do think that they are leaning a little bit more towards natural, so some people might choose to go towards, you know, the natural grocers and things like that in comparison to some of our big chain, which will obviously drive those prices up a little bit. But I do think there's plenty of chain options like Walmart's and things up there, Costco's and all of that, to where you can still get, you know, whatever kind of grocery shopping that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think like we've talked about this, and I'm trying to think in the past. I believe that it was below national average in the past. I can't remember, it was either below or it was right at 100 because we always said, you know, groceries kind of a wash because it's 100 and the national average is 100 as well too. And so this is where we kind of talk about the inflation and the supply chain issues that we've been talking about. Obviously, especially with the cost of eggs, like if you have chickens right now, you're probably like making more than Elon Musk because there's people just like selling eggs like, oh yeah, $10 for 2 eggs. Grocery has went up a little bit. It still isn't much more expensive than your national average.
Let's go ahead and break into health. So health, Colorado does a really good job about this because we do have a lot of health options. Fort Collins, even being kind of known as a smaller city, is actually really great for the options it has. We have UC Health, we have a Kaiser, we have a lot of different hospital systems up there and good access to healthcare, even though it's not in Denver. If you're looking at it on a scale, it's going to be 87.5. Colorado as a whole is 83.8, and something that we're really proud of here in the state.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado has great healthcare, guys. That's one biggest thing to kind of note on this. Next topic we're going to talk about in regards to the cost of living in Fort Collins, Colorado is your housing. And when we talk about this housing number, what also is considered in that is your rental as well, too. That number in regards to the housing is a 167.2, and hang out for a little bit longer. I'm really going to break into the housing market in regards to purchasing houses, what we're seeing, whether or not house prices are going up or down in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Yeah, one interesting fact too, because we're helping a lot of you guys move into the state, and oftentimes there's this in-between place where, like, you know, how do I move from one place to the other, and where do we stay? Do we rent? Do we not rent? Interesting fact, the good thing about people relocating to northern Colorado is that Loveland actually has some of the most affordable Airbnb or short-term rentals. And so it's nice to be able to be close to Fort Collins. Fort Collins does have short-term rental laws that are, you know, pretty strict, but being right next to it in Loveland and being able to stay and kind of get to know all the different cities is a big bonus when relocating into that area.
And now that we brought up another city, just kind of give you guys a heads up. So Timnath, Colorado, which is just east of Fort Collins, Colorado, I just looked it up. According to, I think it was USA Today, was the 7th best small city to move to in 2023. So crazy to see. And we've always talked about how Fort Collins is like always one of the top spots to move into. And I've recently been looking at all these articles, all these different polls that are coming out. And so I feel like Fort Collins and Colorado Springs keep switching places. Colorado Springs is also a super hot spot in Colorado to move right now as well. So it's crazy to see how Fort Collins and Colorado Springs are kind of doing the swappy type thing.
Swappy. Okay, let's go ahead and break into utilities. If we're looking at utilities as a whole in Colorado, it's 98.4. If you're looking at Fort Collins, it's 91.3. So a lot of you have asked about some of the water stuff with all the growth in Fort Collins. It's definitely something to keep an eye on, but they're continually trying to, you know, figure out different water sources and how they're going to kind of, you know, change with growth. But so far, it's not really affecting your utility bills.
Next cost of living that we're going to break into is transportation. We actually were just informed recently about something that goes into your car insurance that I had no idea about, but transportation as a whole in Fort Collins, Colorado is 87.4, and typically, you know, you look at your cost to maintain, your gas prices of your cars, and then also recently one of you guys brought up, you know, crime. So your insurance might go up because of auto theft, and so it's lower in Fort Collins, Colorado as compared to Denver. I think it was a little bit higher because we just covered Denver, the cost of living. If you want to check that video out, we'll go throw a link up one of these spots right here. I always forget which. It always gets mirrored, right? It's like I'm like here, and then it goes over there, and I'm like here, and then I feel like it goes over there. And I never get it right. I feel like so. But yeah, it's crazy to think that, you know, also with that auto theft, obviously with Denver being the larger city that it is, you know, might have a little bit more auto theft in Denver as opposed to Fort Collins. So that might be why that number is so much lower than Denver.
And also, if you guys are interested in looking into crime, one of the best resources that we like to use is worldpopulationreview.com. You can go by either city or, you know, different areas. So if you are looking to kind of break down and kind of get in the nitty-gritty of what kind of crime each city is looking at, that's something that we typically use. So we'll try to put a link down below for you. Well, miscellaneous. So before Peter gets into his boutique or boutique,
how are you going to steal my word from me like that?
Because I was going to come in here and we'd be like whoosh, right before we got into it. Yes, Fort Collins is definitely full of
boutiques, and I think according to this number, there's some expensive boutiques. Boutiques.
Listen, local's always more expensive because they're not making it in mass production. We've got some local artisans, all the good things. So Fort Collins with miscellaneous is going to be a 152.5. Colorado as a whole is already 120.4. A little bit more expensive. So this doesn't just include like your shopping. This is also going to include your restaurants. Again, we've talked about how foodie Colorado is.
Well, Fort Collins too. Like Fort Collins is super foodie. I feel like every time we go up there, they have another great local spot that you could go into, and so there are a lot of great luncheons and different types of spots, foodie spots in downtown Fort Collins, Colorado.
Just pause on that for a minute because Fort Collins is, especially with Old Town or downtown Fort Collins. Do they still call it Old Town?
I don't know, Old Town Fort Collins. I call it downtown Fort Collins.
I go back and forth, and then I get insecure every time I say it. Anyways, so yes, when you're looking at downtown Fort Collins, it is known for all of its incredible places. Well, people are willing to pay to go to that atmosphere and hang out with this like really cool outdoorsy vibe.
Now you've stuck around to the end, and this is what I'm going to break into the real estate, really kind of break into those numbers, what we're seeing. So if we look at the overall median sales price of houses in Fort Collins, Colorado, you're looking at $530,000. Just to note, we are in January, so we don't have January's complete numbers. These are based off December of 2022. That is overall, so we're talking about your attached and detaches all lumped into one sum. I'm going to break that down a little bit more, but first let's kind of look at this year over year, right? And so over the last 12 months, Fort Collins has actually only increased 3.41%. So the price from December of 2020. I'm like, wait a second, I need to get all these dates right. So 2021 to December of 2022, it only went up 3.41%. If we go all the way back to 2020, it went up 24.41%. So what does that number tell us? It tells us that you had higher price gains from 2020 to 2021 as opposed to 2021 to 2022. Now let's go ahead and break that down a little bit. Let's look at single family homes. So single family homes, your median sales price is $539,000, which is crazy that it's not much higher than your overall. And here's the biggest contributing factor to that. Denver, obviously, you have a lot more attached, so your condos, your townhouses, and the downtown Denver. Where Fort Collins, not so much. You don't have as much, and that's why that number isn't skewed so much from that median sales price overall. So what does that look like year over year? So if we're talking about December 2021 to December 2022, that was up 3.38%, not much different from the first number. And over 2 years, so we're talking 2022 to 20, I think I said that wrong the second time, or the first time. So 2020 to 2022, it was up 25.35%. Yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure I said it wrong now, but you guys get what I'm trying to say right now. So 24-month period as opposed to a 12-month period. Now let's look into those attached. We're talking about your condos, townhouses, row homes, style living. Median sales price of $454,000. Now here's where the number flips a little bit, which is a little bit crazy. This might be why the market, with interest rates going up the way they did, you might have some people who are looking more at purchasing that attached product because the interest rates are higher. Right. What does that do? It decreases your buying power if you are pulling out a mortgage on the property. If we're looking at December of 2021 to December of 22, there's so many numbers. I keep getting jumbled up. I don't know why, but December 21 to 2022, it was actually up 39.69%.
Wow.
All right. And so what was it over the 24 months? So we're talking about 2020 to 2022, it was up 44.13%. So that just tells you that over the, from 2021 to 2022, it's just my personal opinion. I think that with those interest rates going up, that people are being forced into buying more of those attached products because they are a little bit cheaper than your single family homes. That might be why that increase was so much higher from 2021 to 2022 as opposed to 2020 to 2021. There's so many freaking numbers. I'm like...
I'm following. I'm just drawing pictures in my head.
I'm like I said, I'm more about like being out and about, but like when it comes out to numbers, I'm like, I'm like that, yeah.
We need a whiteboard.
we do need a whiteboard.
Yeah, for visual people like me. We're gonna do that next time.
Actually, why don't you leave a comment down below? Let us know if you think a whiteboard would be a little bit more helpful. I do like we pop up, the numbers down below and all that stuff, but maybe us getting up and doing a whiteboard, roll my sleeves up, doing the whole gig, and I don't know.
I might need to write because Peter's a lefty, and it gets like. Also, like if you're visual like me, you might really like that. So please let us know. We need your feedback. Yep. If you've watched this long, obviously we're interested in the numbers. So if you would want us to write it out on a whiteboard, please let us know. We will definitely do that.
I agree.
Don't you think?
I think so.
I was thinking about it while you were doing that because I love the numbers part. And I was curious as to like demographics of what's buying what also. Like, is this any of these attached? Are they age groups? Like, I'm curious. Like, I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit. I wonder if, like, being a college town, if those people are buying more because
Possibly.
Our aging. Like, my brother's 10 years younger than us, and he gets this whole like, I'm not paying anyone else's mortgage. So, like, I wonder if this shift in age group of them being like, I want to own my own place, is causing that to go up, or it could be a combination of people not wanting as much maintenance.
Yeah,
having the grounds cared for and like all of those things, because we have seen a lot of you guys coming in, they're like, I don't want to take care of my outside grounds, and do all of that. I want to be outside playing in the mountains. So it's really interesting that we've seen that change so much, because it was always single family homes were always more desirable, and we were seeing more people there. But again, it could be interest rates as well. So
yeah, you never know.
Enough of that. So if there is anything else that we did not cover in this video, or topics that you want us to add to these cost of living videos that would create more value, please let us know, because we do all of these videos for you.
We are also going to throw that phone number down below. So if you are looking for a licensed real estate agent to help you out with all your real estate purchases in the state of Colorado, give us a call, give us a text. Doesn't matter date or time. We are there to answer your calls. And until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye.
He's right. And so I keep saying and so.
Let's break into health, which is obviously
too. So that might be why Colorado as a whole is a little bit cheaper, but I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next topic we're going to break.
You okay?
Yeah.
Enough of that. If you... No, what do I usually say?